Amelia Vaughn's merger call was crashing. No interpreters. Billion-dollar deal dying. Darius Blackwell reached over to mute the radio, trying to help. Amelia's head snapped around like a viper. "Keep your monkey hands off my car." The words hit the air like a slap. Darius's hand froze mid-reach. "You think because you drive my Mercedes you get to touch my things?" Her voice dripped with poison. "You're the help. Stay in your lane." Darius's jaw clenched. His eyes stayed locked on the road ahead. "Matter of fact, put the partition up. I'm tired of seeing your face in my mirror." The glass barrier slid up between them with a soft hiss. Amelia returned to her panicked phone calls. In the front seat, Darius gripped the wheel. 3 years of MIT education, 5 languages mastered at Yale, 2 decades of diplomatic service, invisible. What Amelia didn't know, her monkey was about to save her empire. The partition couldn't block the chaos erupting behind it. "What do you mean all 3 interpreter services are booked?" Amelia's voice cracked with desperation. "Robert, this is a $200 million deal." Darius watched her in the rear-view camera, pacing in the back seat like a caged animal. Her perfectly styled hair was coming undone. Mascara smudged under her eyes. "I don't care if it costs $50,000. Find someone who speaks Chinese and Japanese." She was shouting now. "The Takahashi Kapoor team lands in 90 minutes. Another call. Another dead end. No, we cannot postpone." Amelia hissed into her phone. "They'll walk away permanently. 3 years of negotiations down the drain." Darius had heard enough boardroom conversations to know the truth. Vaughn Technologies was 3 months from bankruptcy. This merger wasn't just business. It was survival. 200 jobs hung in the balance, including his own. Amelia's next call went to voicemail, then another. Her hands were shaking as she dialed. That's when Darius made his choice. He lowered the partition. "Excuse me, Ms. Vaughn." Amelia's head whipped around, fury blazing in her eyes. "I told you to. What languages do you need?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Amelia's mouth opened, then closed. Her phone call was forgotten. "I'm sorry, what?" Darius's voice was calm, professional. "For your merger meeting, what languages do you need?" Amelia stared at him like he'd spoken in tongues. "That's not your concern." "Chinese and Japanese," Darius continued quietly. "Korean, Vietnamese." Something in his tone made Amelia's breath catch. This wasn't the voice of a driver anymore. "You speak Chinese fluently along with Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, Arabic, Portuguese, French, German, and Spanish." The car fell dead silent. Amelia's phone slipped from her hand. Amelia's world tilted sideways. "You're telling me you speak 9 languages?" Her voice was barely a whisper. Darius nodded once. "Would you like me to demonstrate?" Before Amelia could answer, her phone rang. The caller ID made her stomach drop. Takahashi Kapoor Holdings. She stared at the phone like it might explode. "I can't without an interpreter." "May I?" Darius's hand extended toward the partition opening. Amelia's pride warred with her desperation. The phone kept ringing. She handed it over. "Ni hao, Takahashi-san," Darius answered, his voice transformed. Gone was the careful deference. In its place, confident, cultured authority. The voice on the other end responded in rapid Chinese. Darius listened intently, occasionally nodding. "Hi, Vaughn Sanima Junish Oris." Amelia watched his face in the mirror. His posture had changed completely, shoulders back, jaw set with quiet confidence. This wasn't her driver anymore. Darius switched seamlessly to Japanese as another voice joined the call. Technical terms flowed from his lips like water. Patent licensing, intellectual property transfers, market penetration strategies. He was discussing her company's most sensitive information in languages she couldn't understand. "There's been a cultural misunderstanding," Darius said to Amelia, covering the phone. They're insulted by your previous communications. Your legal team used overly aggressive language in the preliminary contracts. Amelia's heart hammered. What kind of misunderstanding? The kind that kills deals, Darius replied. They think you view them as subordinates, not partners. Back to Chinese, Darius's tone became apologetic, respectful. He used phrases that seemed to have an immediate effect. The tension on the other end dissolved. What did you tell them? Amelia demanded. Vaughn Technologies deeply respects their family business legacy that you've been personally studying Chinese business customs to show proper honor. Amelia's mouth fell open. But I haven't. You have now, Darius said simply, then returned to the call. 20 minutes later, he handed the phone back. They're looking forward to meeting with you in person. The merger discussion is back on track. Amelia stared at the phone, then at Darius's reflection. Who are you? Darius pulled the Mercedes into Vaughn Technologies' parking garage. The familiar concrete walls had never felt so different. Someone who needed work 3 years ago, he said quietly, and someone who still believes in second chances. He parked in Amelia's reserved spot and turned off the engine. In the sudden silence, Amelia could hear her own heartbeat. Darius. She used his name for the first time in 3 years. I need to know everything. He met her eyes in the mirror. For a moment, the partition between them felt like more than just glass. PhD in International Relations from Yale, Master's in Applied Linguistics from Princeton, 22 years as a senior diplomatic translator for the State Department. Each credential hit Amelia like a physical blow. I specialized in high-stakes multinational negotiations, G7 summits, trade agreements, crisis mediation. Darius's voice carried no bitterness, just quiet fact. Budget cuts eliminated my position 3 years ago. I needed work immediately. Your mother's medical bills, Amelia said suddenly, remembering fragments of overheard phone calls. Cancer treatment, my daughter's medical school tuition. Darius nodded. I applied for over 300 positions in my field. Overqualified for most, too old for others. Amelia felt something cold settle in her stomach. So you became a driver. I became whatever I needed to be to survive. The parking garage's fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Amelia looked at her hands, still trembling from the phone call. Darius? She started, then stopped. What could she possibly say? Ms. Vaughn, your meeting is in 40 minutes. We should go upstairs. But neither of them moved. In the enclosed space of the Mercedes, 3 years of invisible service suddenly felt enormous. I've been listening to your business calls for 36 months, Darius said softly. I know every deal, every crisis, every late-night panic about the company's future. Amelia's face flushed with shame. Why didn't you ever say something? Offer help? Darius's laugh was gentle, not bitter. Would you have listened? The answer hung between them, unspoken but clear. Amelia's phone buzzed. Text from her assistant. Takahashi team early lobby now. They're here, she whispered. Darius was already getting out of the car, moving around to open her door with the same professional courtesy he'd shown for 3 years. But everything had changed. As Amelia stepped out, she looked at Darius, really looked at him for the first time. Will you help me save my company? Darius straightened his driver's uniform and nodded once. Let's go save your company, Ms. Vaughn. The elevator climbed toward the executive floors in silence. Amelia stared at the numbers, her mind reeling. 22 years of diplomatic service, Yale, PhD, Princeton Masters. She'd been paying a former State Department translator minimum wage to drive her to Starbucks. Darius, she said quietly. Tell me about before. The elevator hummed between floors. Darius kept his eyes on the digital display. Embassy in Beijing 2005 to 2010. Trade negotiations that prevented a currency war. His voice was matter-of-fact professional. Shanghai assignment next. Helped draft the intellectual property frameworks that your company still uses today. Amelia's breath caught. Those frameworks had saved Vaughn Technologies millions in licensing fees. After that, Vienna, UN climate accords, then back to DC for cabinet-level briefings. Darius paused. I translated for 3 presidents, Ms. Vaughn, 2 Democrats, 1 Republican. The elevator stopped at the 15th floor. Neither moved to get out. What happened? Amelia asked. Budget Reconciliation Act 2023, Foreign Service Downsizing. Darius's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. 20% staff reduction, last hired, first fired, but your experience meant nothing against spreadsheet mathematics. Amelia felt sick. So you just started driving? I had 2 weeks to find income. Mom's oncology bills were due. Sarah's med school deposit couldn't wait. Darius's voice never wavered, but Amelia caught the steel underneath. Pride doesn't pay for chemotherapy. The elevator doors opened, then closed again. I applied everywhere. Consulting firms said I was overqualified. Corporations said I was too specialized. Universities said I was too expensive. Darius finally looked at her. Your company needed a driver. I needed a paycheck for 3 years, Amelia whispered. For 3 years, he confirmed. Outside the elevator, Amelia's world was collapsing. Inside, she was learning about a man who'd held his world together with quiet dignity. Darius, why didn't you ever fight back? Demand recognition? He smiled sadly. Miss Vaughn, I've negotiated with dictators and diplomats, but I've never met anyone more dangerous than a person who's already decided what you're worth. The words hit like a slap. Every morning, I chose to see this as temporary, Darius continued. Every insult, every dismissal, every time you threw your briefcase at me like I was furniture, I chose to believe that someday someone would need what I actually know. Amelia's throat tightened. And today you need what I know. The elevator shuddered slightly as it waited. Darius, I owe you. You owe me nothing except the chance to do what I'm trained for. His voice was firm now. Save your company. Save those jobs. That's what matters. Amelia nodded, not trusting her voice. The elevator doors opened to the executive floor. Darius gestured for her to exit first, falling into step behind her exactly as he had 1,000 times before, but everything was different now. The executive floor buzzed with panic. Amelia's assistant, Olivia, rushed toward them, her face pale. Amelia, thank God. The Takahashi advance team is in conference room A. They're asking about cultural protocols and nobody knows. It's handled, Amelia said firmly. Olivia, meet Darius Blackwell, our new interpreter consultant. Olivia's eyes flicked to Darius's driver uniform, then back to Amelia. I'm sorry, what? Mr. Blackwell will be handling all international communications for the merger. Olivia lowered her voice. Amelia, he's your driver. He's a Yale PhD who speaks 9 languages. Amelia shot back. Any other concerns? The color drained from Olivia's face. There is one small problem, Darius interjected diplomatically. I should probably change before meeting the delegation. Amelia looked at his uniform for the first time with clear eyes. He was right. Olivia, take Mr. Blackwell to the executive shop downstairs. Get him a proper suit, navy blue conservative tie. She checked her watch. 20 minutes, but the advanced team will wait. Amelia's voice carried new authority. Tell them we're reviewing final cultural considerations out of respect for their customs. Olivia hesitated, clearly struggling with the situation. Now, Olivia. As they headed toward the elevator, Amelia caught Darius's arm. Are you ready for this? Darius straightened his shoulders. Ms. Vaughn, I've mediated disputes between nations. I think I can handle a business meeting. 15 minutes later, Darius returned, transformed. The navy suit fit perfectly, highlighting his natural dignity. Gone was any trace of the invisible driver. "Better?" he asked. Amelia nodded, speechless. The man before her commanded respect just by standing there. "Conference room A," she said. "Let's see what you can do." The advanced team consisted of 3 Chinese executives and 1 translator. They stood when Amelia and Darius entered, bowing formally. Darius returned the bow with precise depth and duration, then spoke in flawless Chinese. The lead executive's eyes widened with surprise and pleasure. He responded enthusiastically, gesturing for everyone to sit. "What did you tell them?" Amelia whispered. "That Vaughn Technologies is honored by their presence and grateful for their patience with our cultural preparations." The meeting proceeded in 3 languages. Darius seamlessly translated technical specifications between Chinese and English while clarifying legal terminology in Japanese when the Japanese patents came up. But more than translation, he was conducting diplomacy. When the lead executive mentioned concerns about intellectual property protection, Darius didn't just translate, he addressed the cultural context. "Wang-san expresses concern about long-term partnership stability," Darius explained to Amelia. "In Chinese business culture, this isn't just about contracts. It's about family honor extending across generations." Darius turned back to the executives, speaking in formal Chinese about Vaughn Technologies' commitment to lasting relationships, not just transactions. The transformation in the room was immediate. Formal politeness gave way to genuine warmth. "How did you know to say that?" Amelia asked during a brief break. "Because I spent 5 years in Beijing learning what matters beyond the words," Darius replied. "Business in Asia is always personal first." The advanced team leader approached Darius directly, speaking in rapid Chinese. Darius listened intently, nodding. "He wants to know if you understand the gift exchange protocols for tomorrow's main meeting," Darius translated. "He's concerned your team might inadvertently offend Takahashi-san." Amelia felt her stomach drop. "What protocols?" Darius and the executive spoke quietly in Chinese for several minutes. Darius took notes, asking detailed questions. "We need specific gifts," Darius explained. "Not expensive, but meaningful items that show you've studied their company history and family values. Can you handle that?" "I can handle that." As the advanced team prepared to leave, the lead executive shook Darius's hand with both of his, speaking in Chinese. Darius bowed deeply in response. "What did he say?" Amelia asked after they'd gone. He said, "Finally, Vaughn Technologies sends someone who understands respect." Amelia felt a mixture of pride and shame wash over her. "Darius, about this morning in the car." "Ms. Vaughn," Darius interrupted gently, "we have 16 hours to prepare for the most important meeting in your company's history. Personal apologies can wait." He was right, but Amelia couldn't shake the image of how she'd treated him just hours ago. "What do we need to do?" Darius pulled out his notes. "Learn their names, their titles, their family businesses. Understand why this merger matters to them personally, not just financially. And the gifts. I have ideas. But first we need to call your legal team about those contract revisions." Amelia looked at Darius with new eyes. This wasn't her driver anymore. This was her lifeline. "Lead the way, Mr. Blackwell." Amelia called an emergency board meeting. The conference room filled with Vaughn Technologies' senior leadership, their faces grim. "I want you to meet Darius Blackwell, our lead interpreter for tomorrow's merger." Executive Vice President Lucas Fitzgerald spoke first. "Amelia, where's the professional service we hired?" "Unavailable. Mr. Blackwell will handle all translations and his credentials." Chief Financial Officer Ethan Monroe leaned forward. "Yale Ph.D., Princeton Masters, 22 years State Department." Silence. Then Fitzgerald pressed harder. "Where did you find him?" Amelia felt the trap closing. He's been with the company 3 years. In what capacity? The words stuck. Operations, operations. Fitzgerald's voice dripped with skepticism. Amelia, this is a billion-dollar merger. We need verified professionals, not someone from the mailroom. Darius sat quietly, face impassive. He handled today's advance meeting flawlessly. Amelia said, "That's not the point." Fitzgerald used his patient, explaining to children tone, "This is about appearances, credibility." Marketing Director Isabella Grant nodded. "The Chinese expect a certain level of professionalism. We can't show up with someone who looks like—" She stopped herself. "Like what, Isabella?" The temperature dropped. "Someone who looks the part," Fitzgerald said bluntly. "Someone they'll take seriously. Are you questioning his qualifications? I'm questioning his suitability. We can't risk everything on someone we don't know." Darius finally spoke, voice calm. "Mr. Fitzgerald, what specific concerns do you have about Chinese protocols?" Fitzgerald straightened uncomfortably. Cultural nuances, business etiquette such as gift exchanges, proper bowing, seating arrangements. "Ah," Darius nodded. "Guanji summer protocols, correct RAI angles for executives, and Zaseki positioning based on founding dates rather than revenue." Dead silence. Takahashi family business was established in 1962. Post-war reconstruction values. They'll expect gifts acknowledging their family's contribution to China's recovery, not expensive items suggesting we're buying influence. Fitzgerald's mouth opened. Kapoor Holdings follows British Indian traditions. Direct communication, minimal ceremony, absolute punctuality. Miss, Kapoor will interpret elaborate gift ceremonies as time-wasting. Darius looked around calmly. The key is balancing both without offense. Takahashi gets the position of honor. Kapoor gets clear sight lines to documentation. The silence stretched. "How do you know this?" Fitzgerald whispered. "I negotiated the 2020 Beijing Trade Framework, establishing current U.S.-China protocols, and mediated the Kapoor-Eurobank dispute in 2021. 7 executives realized they'd questioned someone more qualified than all of them. Any other concerns about Mr. Blackwell's suitability?" Amelia asked quietly. No one spoke. "Good. Darius, what do we need?" As Darius outlined strategy, Amelia watched the shift. Fitzgerald taking notes, Monroe nodding, Grant asking questions. But she also noticed what didn't change, the careful distance. Questions directed to her, not Darius. Recognition wasn't acceptance. After the meeting, Fitzgerald approached privately. "Where exactly has he been working for 3 years?" Amelia met his eyes, learning everything about our company while we learned nothing about him. That evening, Darius worked alone in the empty office. Amelia found him at 9 p.m., surrounded by documents, cultural research, and gift samples. "You should go home," she said. "Get some rest." Darius looked up from his notes. "Almost finished. Just reviewing the technical patents one more time." Amelia noticed the precision of his preparation. Color-coded files for each executive, cultural protocol checklists, even backup conversation topics. "Darius, this is beyond thorough. Ms. Vaughn, in diplomacy, we say preparation prevents humiliation." He gestured to the research spread across the table. "Did you know Mr. Takahashi's father was a Cultural Revolution survivor who rebuilt their family business from nothing?" Amelia shook her head. "That's why he values long-term partnerships over quick profits. His decision-making process honors his father's memory." Darius pulled out another file. "Ms. Kapoor lost her first company to a bad translation in a Delhi court. She's hypersensitive to linguistic precision. How did you learn all this? 6 hours of research your regular interpreters wouldn't have done." Darius's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and frowned. Problem? Emergency call from our Delhi branch office. IP theft concern. The regional director only speaks Korean. Amelia's heart sank. We can't afford any complications tonight. Darius was already answering. Annyeonghaseyo Kumar C. M. Darius Bol Rahun. For 20 minutes, Darius mediated a three-way crisis. Amelia watched him switch between Korean, English, and rapid-fire legal terminology, his voice carrying the quiet authority of someone used to solving international emergencies. What was that about? Amelia asked when he hung up. A competitor tried to steal your Delhi AI algorithms. Kumar caught them but needed immediate legal guidance in Korean. It's handled. Amelia stared. You just solved that. Ms. Vaughn, your company has been hemorrhaging value through communication gaps for years. Darius pulled out a thick folder. I've been documenting every international issue I've overheard in the car. He opened the folder. Dozens of incidents, missed opportunities, cultural misunderstandings. The sole software licensing deal that fell through. Your translator used informal Japanese with the CEO's father. Unforgivable insult. Amelia felt sick. The Vienna partnership that stalled. Your legal team sent contracts in American English. Austrians interpret that as intellectual arrogance. Why didn't you ever say something? Darius's smile was gentle. Would you have listened? Amelia's phone rang. Unknown international number. Don't answer that. She started. But Darius was already reaching for it. Vaughn Technologies. Blackwell speaking. Guten Tag, Herr Miller. German flowed from Darius's lips like water. The conversation lasted 10 minutes, ending with Darius laughing warmly. Your Vienna partners, he explained to Amelia's shocked face. They want to restart negotiations, heard about tomorrow's merger, and realized they made a mistake walking away. That deal was worth $40 million, Amelia whispered. It still is. I scheduled a video call for next week. Amelia sank into a chair. How many opportunities have we lost? Darius's expression softened. The past doesn't matter. Tomorrow does. He handed her a perfectly organized briefing book. Everything you need to know about every person in that room. Their histories, their triggers, their decision-making patterns. Darius stood. Ms. Vaughn, tomorrow we don't just save your company, we transform it. Amelia looked at the briefing book, then at Darius. Who are you really? Someone who believes in second chances, Darius said quietly. For companies and for people, Amelia couldn't sleep. At midnight, she sat in her home office researching Darius Blackwell. What she found made her hands shake. State Department commendations, diplomatic achievement awards, news articles praising his negotiation breakthroughs, a photo of him standing behind 3 presidents during international summits. Her driver had shaped global trade policy. The next morning, Amelia called the board into an emergency session before the merger meeting. Before we begin today, I need to address yesterday's concerns about Darius Blackwell. The executives filed in looking tense. Darius wasn't with her. I spent last night researching his background. Amelia pulled up her laptop screen. Lucas, you questioned his credentials. A State Department citation appeared on the conference room monitor. Presidential commendation for preventing the 2019 U.S.-China trade war collapse. Fitzgerald shifted uncomfortably. Ethan, you worried about his experience? Another document appeared. Lead negotiator for the Asian-Pacific Economic Framework, the foundation of our entire international business model. Monroe looked pale. Isabella, you questioned whether the Chinese would take him seriously. Amelia clicked again. Personal letter of recommendation from former Chinese Premier Lai. Darius mediated the 2021 Tibet agreements. Grant stared at the screen. For 3 years, we've employed one of America's most accomplished diplomats. Amelia's voice carried quiet fury. and we used him to drive me to coffee meetings." The room was deadly silent. "Darius Blackwell doesn't work in our operations department," Amelia continued. "He is our operations department starting today." She clicked on a new document. "I'm promoting him to Senior Vice President of International Relations. Salary $180,000 plus equity. Reporting directly to me." "Amelia," Fitzgerald started. "I'm not finished." Amelia's voice cut through his objection. "Darius will also head our new Cultural Intelligence Division. Budget $2 million annually. Staff. His choice." She closed the laptop. "Any questions about Mr. Blackwell's qualifications?" No one spoke. "Good, because he's about to save this company." 20 minutes later, Darius entered the boardroom wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. Amelia noticed the immediate shift in posture around the table. Respectful attention replaced yesterday's skepticism. "Ladies and gentlemen," Amelia announced formally, "I present Darius Blackwell, Senior Vice President of International Relations." She handed him a business card holder, his new cards printed overnight. Darius accepted it with quiet dignity. "Thank you for this opportunity." "The opportunity is ours," Amelia replied, meaning every word. Chief Technology Officer Kim cleared his throat. "Mr. Blackwell, I owe you an apology." "No apology necessary," Darius said gracefully. "But I appreciate the acknowledgement." One by one, the executives who'd questioned him yesterday offered their respect. Darius accepted each gesture with professional grace. "Now," Amelia said, "let's go save our company." As they filed out, Fitzgerald approached Darius privately. "Blackwell, I was wrong yesterday, completely wrong." Darius shook his hand firmly. "Lucas, we all make assumptions. What matters is what we do after we realize them." Amelia watched the exchange, feeling something she hadn't experienced in years: pride in her leadership. "Ready, Mr. Vice President?" she asked Darius. Darius straightened his tie and smiled. "Ready, Ms. Vaughn?" For the first time in 3 years, Darius Blackwell walked into a business meeting as himself. The elevator to the executive conference room felt different this time. Amelia and Darius stood side by side. Equals now. But the weight of the coming meeting pressed down on both of them. "Darius," Amelia said quietly, "I need you to know something." He looked at her reflection in the polished steel doors. "If this deal fails, Vaughn Technologies has maybe 3 months before bankruptcy." Her voice was barely above a whisper. 200 people lose their jobs, including yours." Darius nodded slowly. "How long have you been carrying this alone?" 2 years, maybe longer." Amelia's hands trembled slightly. "I tell the board we're restructuring. I tell investors we're pivoting. But the truth is, we're dying." The elevator climbed silently through floors of bustling offices. People who had no idea their livelihoods hung on the next 2 hours. "Darius, I have to ask you something personal." "Go ahead." "Why are you helping me after everything? After how I treated you?" Darius was quiet for a long moment. "Ms. Vaughn, can I tell you about my daughter?" Amelia nodded. "Sarah's in her 2nd year at Johns Hopkins Medical School, pediatric oncology track." Darius's voice carried quiet pride. "She wants to treat children with cancer because she watched her grandmother fight it." The elevator passed the 20th floor. 3 months ago, Sarah called me crying. Said she might have to transfer to community college because of the cost. Darius's jaw tightened. I told her not to worry, that her father would figure it out. Amelia felt her throat close. "She doesn't know I've been driving instead of consulting. Thinks I'm taking a sabbatical to write a book." Darius smiled sadly. "Every month I transfer money to her account and tell her it's from my research grant." "Darius, yesterday morning when you humiliated me in the car, I drove straight to a job interview. 3rd one this week." He looked directly at Amelia. "Marketing coordinator at a community college. $28,000 a year. Amelia's eyes filled. I was going to take it. Tell Sarah to transfer, except that my career was over at 52. Darius straightened his shoulders. But then you needed help. The elevator slowed as it approached the executive floor. Darius, when this is over, when we save the company, if we save it, when we save it, Amelia repeated firmly. I want you to call your daughter. Tell her she's going to be the best pediatric oncologist in the country and that her father made it possible. Darius's eyes were bright. And I want you to know that saving your company isn't just about the jobs or the money. What's it about? Proving that talent exists everywhere, that worth isn't determined by job titles. Darius met her eyes. That people like your daughter and mine grow up in a world where they're seen for who they really are. The elevator doors opened to reveal the conference room where their futures waited. Amelia extended her hand. Partners. Darius shook it firmly. Partners. They walked toward the biggest meeting of their lives. No longer boss and employee, but two people fighting for the same dream. The Takahashi Kapoor Holdings delegation filled Vaughn Technologies' largest conference room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but all eyes focused on the polished mahogany table where $1.2 billion hung in the balance. Mr. Wei Takahashi, 73, sat with the quiet dignity of old Chinese business aristocracy. Ms. Priya Kapoor, sharp-eyed and direct, checked her tablet with military precision. Mr. Minjun Park, chief technology officer, studied technical documents with laser focus. Amelia entered with Darius at her side. The room fell silent. Darius approached Mr. Takahashi first, bowing with perfect depth and duration. He spoke in formal Chinese, his voice carrying respectful authority. Takahashi's eyes widened with surprise and pleasure. He responded warmly, gesturing for everyone to be seated. What did you tell him? Amelia whispered. That Vaughn Technologies is honored by his presence and grateful for the wisdom of his family's business legacy. The first hour proceeded smoothly. Darius seamlessly translated technical specifications between 3 languages while managing cultural nuances that could derail everything. Then the crisis hit. Ms. Kapoor suddenly stopped mid-sentence, her face darkening. She spoke rapidly in Korean to her assistant, then turned to the room. I'm sorry, but we've discovered a serious problem. Amelia's blood ran cold. Our Delhi office just informed me that Vaughn's IP protection protocols are insufficient for our standards. Kapoor's voice was ice. We cannot proceed with a company that has such loose security measures. The room went dead silent. Amelia felt the deal slipping away. Darius leaned forward slightly. Ms. Kapoor, may I ask what specific security concerns your Delhi office identified? Kapoor's assistant whispered in her ear. She nodded curtly. Unauthorized access to algorithmic frameworks, potential competitor infiltration. Kapoor closed her folder with finality. This is exactly why our last partnership failed. Amelia started to panic, but Darius remained calm. Ms. Kapoor, I believe there may be a misunderstanding. Darius switched to Korean, speaking directly to Kapoor's assistant. The young man's eyes widened. He responded rapidly in Korean, his tone urgent. Darius nodded, then addressed the room in English. The security breach Ms. Kapoor referenced was resolved yesterday evening. Vaughn's Delhi team detected the intrusion attempt and implemented immediate countermeasures. He looked directly at Kapoor. I personally coordinated the response with your regional director, Immerse. The attempted breach was unsuccessful, and we've identified the competitor responsible. Kapoor stared at Darius. You coordinated this? Vaughn Technologies' security protocols are actually more robust than your team realized. The fact that we detected and stopped the intrusion within hours demonstrates the strength of our systems. Darius pulled out his phone, scrolling to a message thread. With your permission, I can conference with Kumarsi to confirm the resolution. Kapoor looked stunned. You speak Korean fluently, along with 8 other languages. Darius's tone remained professional. Shall I make the call? Kapoor nodded slowly. The conference call with Delhi lasted 20 minutes. Darius mediated in 3 languages, walking everyone through the security response timeline. Kumar confirmed that Vaughn's protective measures had actually exceeded Kapoor Holdings' own standards. When the call ended, Kapoor looked at Darius with new respect. Mr. Blackwell, your response time was impressive. Ms. Kapoor Vaughn. Technologies takes partnership security very seriously, especially with organizations we hope to build generational relationships with. He had used the exact phrase that resonated with Kapoor's family business philosophy. But Mr. Takahashi raised another concern. He spoke quietly in Chinese, his tone grave. Darius listened intently, then translated. Mr. Takahashi expresses concern about long-term cultural compatibility. He's asking whether Vaughn truly understands the commitment required for a 50-year partnership. Amelia felt her heart sink. This was the deeper cultural issue Darius had warned her about. Darius responded in formal Chinese, his voice carrying deep respect. He spoke for several minutes, occasionally pausing to let his words settle. Takahashi's expression gradually softened. He asked a question in Chinese. Darius smiled and responded with a story that made Takahashi laugh softly. What just happened? Amelia whispered. I told him about my father's service in post-war reconstruction, how American and Chinese engineers worked together to rebuild both countries. Darius's voice was quiet. I shared that true partnerships honor the sacrifices of previous generations while building for future ones. Takahashi nodded and spoke again in Chinese. He says his father would have respected that sentiment, Darius translated, and that Vaughn Technologies clearly understands the meaning of honor, but the biggest test was yet to come. Mr. Park suddenly looked up from his technical documents, his face troubled. He spoke rapidly in Japanese, pointing to specific clauses. What's wrong? Amelia asked. Darius listened to Park's concerns, his expression growing serious. Mr. Park has identified a potential patent conflict in the AI algorithms, something our legal teams missed. Amelia felt the room temperature drop. Patent disputes could kill the merger instantly. He's saying the image recognition protocols overlap with existing Japanese patents held by Sony, Darius continued. If true, it could expose both companies to massive litigation. Park pulled up technical diagrams on his tablet, speaking urgently in Japanese. Darius studied the information, asking detailed questions in Japanese. His technical knowledge surprised everyone in the room. Mr. Park, may I suggest a solution? Darius finally said. Park nodded. The protocols you're concerned about are actually an evolution of open-source frameworks that predate the Sony patents. Darius switched to Japanese, explaining technical details that made Park's eyes widen. Vaughn's algorithms use a completely different neural network architecture. Darius continued in English for the room. The similarity is superficial, not structural. He pulled out his own tablet, showing comparative code structures that proved his point. Park studied the information intently, then smiled broadly. He spoke in Japanese, bowing slightly to Darius. Mr. Park says I understand the technology better than most programmers, Darius translated, and that he's satisfied with our IP protection. The room collectively exhaled. 3 hours later, the impossible had become reality. Vaughn Technologies and Takahashi Kapoor Holdings hereby agreed to a 50-50 partnership valued at $1.2 billion. Mr. Takahashi's voice carried the weight of history. Implementation begins immediately. The conference room erupted in quiet celebration. Handshakes, bows, and relieved smiles filled the space where tension had reigned for hours. But then something unprecedented happened. Mr. Takahashi stood slowly, commanding attention through presence alone. He addressed the room in careful English, his accent precise. Before we proceed with celebrations, I must acknowledge someone who made this partnership possible. Every eye turned to follow his gaze toward Darius. This merger succeeded not because of favorable terms or financial projections, but because of Mr. Blackwell's exceptional diplomatic skill. The room fell completely silent. In 40 years of international business across 23 countries, I have never encountered such cultural intelligence combined with technical expertise. Takahashi bowed formally to Darius, the gesture carrying profound meaning. You honor both our traditions and your own profession. Darius stood and returned the bow with perfect depth and duration, his face reflecting quiet dignity. Ms. Kapoor rose next, her usual directness softened by genuine admiration. Mr. Blackwell, we've engaged interpretation services across 6 continents. You are the finest cultural liaison we have ever encountered. She approached Darius with her business card, presenting it with both hands in traditional Chinese style, despite her Indian heritage. We would be deeply honored if you would consider consulting for our Delhi operations. Darius accepted the card with appropriate ceremony. The honor would be mine, Miss Kapoor. Mr. Park joined them, speaking in rapid Japanese with obvious excitement. Darius responded fluently, making Park laugh and clap his hands together. What did he say? Amelia asked, mesmerized by the exchange. He offered me a position as their chief cultural officer for all Asian operations, Darius translated with a slight smile. I told him I already have the perfect job. The room filled with warm laughter, the tension of hours melting away. But the most meaningful moment was yet to come. Mr. Takahashi approached Darius carrying a small silk-wrapped package. His movements were ceremonial, reverent. In Chinese business culture, this gesture represents profound professional respect between equals. Darius received the package with both hands, unwrapping it with careful attention to the silk cloth itself. Inside lay an antique business card case, clearly a family heirloom of significant age and beauty. This belonged to my father, who rebuilt our company after the war, Takahashi said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. He believed that respect transcends nationality, language, and circumstance. He would have wanted you to have this. Darius's hands trembled slightly as he held the precious gift. He bowed deeply, holding the case against his heart. Takahashi-san, I am profoundly honored by this trust. The entire room watched this exchange in respectful silence, understanding they were witnessing something rare and beautiful. Amelia felt tears threatening. In 30 years of corporate leadership, she had never seen such genuine respect between professionals from different worlds. Mr. Blackwell, Ms. Kapoor interjected softly. We have one additional request, if you'll permit us. Darius looked at her expectantly. Our annual Global Partners Conference convenes next month in Hong Kong. 500 executives from 37 countries. Kapoor paused meaningfully. Would you consider being our keynote speaker? The invitation hung in the air like a precious offering. Darius glanced at Amelia. With Vaughn Technologies' permission naturally, Kapoor added quickly, showing proper deference to his employer. Amelia smiled broadly. Mr. Blackwell makes his own decisions about speaking engagements. He's an executive now, not an employee. Darius accepted graciously, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. As the delegation prepared to depart, each executive made personal contact with Darius. Not merely business cards, but private phone numbers, personal email addresses, direct access to some of the most powerful business leaders in Asia. Mr. Blackwell, Takahashi said as they shook hands in farewell. You have my personal number now. Please use it whenever you need anything. Anything at all. When the elevators finally closed on the departing delegation, the Vaughn Technologies boardroom buzzed with electric energy. Lucas Fitzgerald approached Darius first. His earlier skepticism completely transformed. Darius, I owe you far more than an apology. I owe you my gratitude, my respect, and frankly, my job. His voice was humble. Without you, we'd all be updating our resumes tonight. One by one, the executives who had questioned Darius's qualifications 24 hours earlier offered their personal admiration and professional respect. Chief Financial Officer Ethan Monroe shook Darius's hand warmly. I've been in international business for 15 years. I've never seen anything like what you did there. Marketing Director Isabella Grant, who had worried about appearances, was nearly in tears. Darius, I'm ashamed of what I said yesterday. You showed me what real professionalism looks like. But Amelia had saved the biggest surprise for last. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced, calling for attention. Before we open the champagne, I have one final announcement. She produced an official document from her briefcase, her hands steady despite the emotion in her voice. Effective immediately, Darius Blackwell is promoted to Executive Vice President of Global Relations. Annual salary $280,000 plus comprehensive equity package. Darius's breath caught audibly. Additionally, Mr. Blackwell will oversee our new International Cultural Intelligence Division with an annual budget of $8 million and authorization to hire a team of 20 specialists worldwide. The room erupted in sustained applause. But most importantly, Amelia continued, her voice growing thick with emotion. Mr. Blackwell will serve as my personal advisor on all matters involving human dignity, corporate culture, and the recognition of talent wherever it exists. She handed Darius a leather portfolio. Your equity package makes you the third largest individual shareholder in Vaughn Technologies. You're not just an employee anymore, Darius. You're an owner of this company. Darius opened the portfolio with trembling hands, staring at documents that represented more financial security than he'd ever imagined. Ms. Vaughn, I don't know what to say, he managed. Say you'll help me build a company that sees people the way you helped me see you, Amelia replied. Say you'll help me become the leader I should have been all along. Darius nodded, unable to speak. The celebration continued for 2 hours. Champagne flowed. Phone calls were made to spouses and children. Plans were drawn for Darius's new division. But the most meaningful moment came when Darius stepped into Amelia's private office to make a personal call. Amelia watched through the glass wall as Darius dialed his daughter. Sarah, it's Dad. Sweetheart, are you sitting down? She could see him crying and laughing simultaneously as he spoke. No, honey. You absolutely don't need to transfer schools. In fact, your father just became an executive vice president. Your medical school is fully funded all 4 years. Focus on becoming the incredible doctor I know you'll be. When Darius returned to the celebration, his eyes were bright with pure joy. How does it feel? Amelia asked quietly. Darius looked around the room at his new colleagues, then at the city lights beginning to twinkle outside the windows. Like I remember who I really am, he said softly. Like I'm finally home. 6 months later, Darius's corner office on the 32nd floor hummed with international activity. 3 monitors displayed live feeds from Hong Kong, Delhi, and Vienna. His Cultural Intelligence Division had prevented 4 diplomatic disasters and closed deals worth $400 million. Amelia often stopped by just to watch him work. The transformation still amazed her. Mr. Blackwell, his assistant announced. Your daughter's calling? Darius smiled and picked up. Hey, sweetheart, how's pediatric rotation treating you? Sarah's excited voice filled the room. Dad, I just got accepted for the summer research program at Children's Hospital. Full scholarship. That's my girl, Darius said proudly. Your grandmother would be so proud. After hanging up, Darius noticed Amelia in his doorway. Good news, she asked. The best. Sarah's becoming everything I hoped she would. Darius gestured to his desk, just like this company. On Darius's desk sat his daily reminder, his old driver's license in a simple frame next to Mr. Takahashi's antique business card case. Any regrets about that morning in the car? Amelia asked. Darius considered seriously. Not anymore. That moment brought us both to where we needed to be. Even after everything I said, Amelia, you gave me the greatest gift that day, the chance to prove that worth isn't measured by uniform or title. Amelia's phone buzzed. She smiled at the text. Speaking of talent, I just hired our new head of facilities, Maria Rodriguez. She mentioned having a law degree during her interview. Darius raised an eyebrow. Formerly your driver. Formerly my driver, now our top legal officer. Amelia grinned. Funny how much you see when you actually look. That afternoon, a news alert flashed across Darius's screen. Vaughn Technologies model transforms corporate culture nationwide. The article featured dozens of companies adopting their hidden talent initiative. CEOs sharing stories of discovering PhDs working in mailrooms, former professors driving Ubers, displaced engineers cleaning offices. Darius's phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Blackwell, this is David Kim from Samsung Electronics. We need your help. What can I do for you, Mr. Kim? Our night janitor just solved a coding problem our engineers couldn't crack. Turns out he's a former AI researcher from Seoul National University. Kim's voice was amazed. We heard about your story. How do we do this right? Darius smiled. Start by apologizing. Then start by listening. By evening, Darius had fielded 12 similar calls. Amelia found him at 8:00 p.m., still taking calls from executives worldwide. The Darius Blackwell Foundation is getting 500 applications daily, she reported. Displaced professionals, underemployed talent, people stuck in survival jobs. How many can we help with our corporate partners? Maybe 2,000 this year? Darius nodded, but his expression was thoughtful. Amelia, I want to tell you something. She sat down, recognizing his serious tone. This morning I got a call from a mother in Detroit. Her son Marcus is an MIT graduate working at McDonald's because no one will hire him. Darius's voice grew heavy. 3 years of applications, 0 interviews. Amelia felt her heart clench. She was crying. Amelia said she saw our story and wondered if there was hope for her boy. Darius looked directly at her. That call reminded me why this matters. What did you tell her? I told her to send me his resume. Marcus starts in our Vienna office next month. Amelia smiled through tears. One person at a time. One person at a time. Darius agreed. As they prepared to leave, Darius turned to face the camera of the documentary crew that had been following their story. Right now, someone is serving your coffee who speaks 4 languages. Someone cleaning your office who has an engineering degree. Someone driving your Uber who used to run international negotiations. His voice carried quiet authority. Tomorrow morning, when you interact with service workers, ask yourself, what talents am I not seeing? What potential am I dismissing? What story am I missing? Darius stepped closer to the camera. Here's what I want you to do. Find one person this week whose job title doesn't match their potential. Really talk to them. Ask about their background, their dreams, their skills. Then do something about it. Make an introduction. Write a recommendation. Share their story. Small actions create big changes. Amelia joined him. We started the Darius Blackwell Foundation to connect displaced talent with companies that need them. But the real change happens when you decide to see people differently. It happens when you choose to look past uniforms and job titles to the human being underneath. Darius's voice grew stronger because talent doesn't wear designer suits. Brilliance doesn't need corner offices. Worth isn't measured by your paycheck. It's revealed by your character. He paused, letting the words settle. If this story touched you, share it. Tag someone who needs to hear it. Comment about a time you discovered hidden talent. Help us build a world where everyone gets seen for who they really are. Subscribe to Blacktail Stories if you believe everyone deserves a second chance, like if you think talent exists everywhere. And remember, Darius looked directly into the camera with quiet intensity.